Today we have Samsung's new flip foldable phone, the Galaxy Z Flip7. So what has Samsung accomplished this time around, and is the new model worth upgrading to? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our Galaxy Z Flip7 review. Samsung's Z Flip foldable phones have been on the scene for a while, and the newest iteration, the Z Flip7, isn't so different from before, but it is more refined. It packs a new flagship chipset, of course, as well as bigger displays on both the outside and the inside. There's a larger battery too, and yet at 188 grams, the phone remains about the same weight as last year. The engineering here is easy to appreciate. Like last year, the Z Flip7 folds completely flat, without a gap. The hinge is thinner though, and Samsung claims it's more durable. The phone is a little wider and taller, but it's been shaved down a bit thickness-wise. The frame is made of aluminum, and the back and cover screen are protected by Gorilla Glass Victus 2. The ingress protection is the same as before. The phone is rated at IP48 against water and dust. Like I mentioned, the displays are larger on the Z Flip7. Let's start off with the foldable one. The inner screen is 6.9 inches now, compared to 6.7 last year. It has a 1080p resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate with LTPO tech. We don't mind having a bit of extra screen space, and this display is sharp and contrasty, and it has HDR10 Plus support too. There is of course a crease where the screen folds over, and it is noticeable if you go looking for it. However, it's also easy to get used to, and when you run your finger over it, it doesn't feel so pronounced as it did in the past. Let's talk about the screen brightness. On the inner screen, we measured up to about 750 nits with the manual slider. That's with extra brightness mode toggled on. And this boosted to over 1450 nits with auto brightness enabled. Plenty for comfy use outdoors. The cover display is a bit different in terms of brightness. We maxed out at around 450 nits with the manual slider. There's no extra brightness mode here. And this boosted to 1400 nits in auto mode. The refresh rate behavior is the same on both displays though. You get 120 Hz to smooth out your swiping and scrolling, and this dials down low when you stop interacting with the screen to save power. The cover screen itself is now 4.1 inches in diagonal, up from the 3.4 inches of the Z Flip6's cover screen. The new models also has a higher resolution and a higher refresh rate. Last year's was just 60 Hz. The larger size is nice to have. The cover screen is truly edge-to-edge, with slim bezels. The screen looks good, and it's responsive. However, Samsung hasn't made any real progress in terms of the cover screen's functionality. Rather than acting like your home screen, it's a widget-based interface. You do have access to your notifications, and the Gemini AI assistant as well. What is still missing is true full-fledged app support. Only a handful of apps are supported to run natively here, including Maps, Messages, Netflix, and YouTube. You don't have a task switcher to go back and forth between these apps. If you want to use another app other than these on the cover screen, there is a separate app that you can get that can allow them to run. But apps installed this way aren't guaranteed to work properly. For audio, the Z Flip7 has a pair of stereo speakers. They earned a good rating on our loudness charts, and the sound quality is good too. It seems fuller and deeper than last year. You can listen for yourself through our comparison tool linked below. The Z Flip7 has a capacitive side-mounted fingerprint reader, and is fast and reliable to wake up and unlock the phone. And storage-wise, the Z Flip7 can come with 256 or 512 gigs on board, and that's not expandable to microSD. Samsung's new foldables are the first phones to launch with Samsung's new One UI 8 out of the box. It's running on top of the new version of Android too, Android 16. As far as the layout and visuals go, the new One UI is just the same as what we've seen before. One new development is that the Z Flip7 is the first in its lineup to support Samsung's DeX connectivity. Of course, as a flagship device, on the Z Flip7 you can count on the full package of AI capabilities that Samsung has to offer. That includes Gemini Live, where you can use natural voice commands and the camera to communicate with the AI assistant and get context-based answers. And for support, the Z Flip7 will be getting 7 major OS upgrades and 7 years of security patches. When it comes to the chipset, the Z Flip7 goes in a different route than its predecessors. Rather than a Snapdragon chipset, it uses a Samsung-made Exynos 2500. This is the first time we've encountered this chipset. It's fully flagship grade, and in benchmarks, the Z Flip7 puts up a solid performance. When it comes to graphics tests, it's able to compete with Snapdragon 8 Elite equipped phones, but it falls behind them in CPU tests. Still, you wouldn't be strapped for raw power here. The thermal management on the Z Flip 7 isn't too impressive though, as expected from a thin, foldable form factor. In our prolonged stress tests, the phone throttled down to about half of its peak performance. As I mentioned before, the Z Flip 7 has an upgraded battery capacity. It's 4,300 mAh, compared to 4,000 last year. In our battery life testing, the Z Flip 7 earned an overall active use score of 11 hours and 52 minutes, which is better than the previous model. It's solid, but won't blow anyone away. The rated charging power here is still just 25 watts, and there's no charger in the box. With a proper adapter, we were able to charge the phone from 0 to 46% in half an hour, and a full charge took 91 minutes. Pretty far from speedy. There's also support for wireless charging here. Unlike the Z Fold 7, which got revamped cameras this year, the Z Flip 7 packs the same setup as the previous model, with a 50-megapixel main cam and 13-megapixel fixed-focus ultrawide cam. There has been an improvement with the cover screen camera interface though. You can easily switch between things like filters, and zooming in and out can be done with a simple swipe. So let's start off with selfies then, beginning with the regular ones, taken with the 10-megapixel selfie cam embedded within the inner screen. They're a bit low on contrast and saturation, but still there's plenty of detail. Selfies taken with the main camera, using the cover screen as a viewfinder, are excellent. They're easy to take on the fly, and they provide a lot better detail than a regular selfie camera, plus more separation between the subject and the background. The autofocus is great to have too. If you want, you can take zoom selfies too, all the way up to 10 times. At 2x zoom, the results are decent, but this isn't the most useful feature. If you're zooming in, it's hard to fit your head in the frame. Ultrawide selfies are quite nice to have though, for a group photo or just a different perspective. Just keep in mind the lack of autofocus here. Moving on to regular shots with the main camera. During the day, it captures pretty great photos. They have very good detail with reasonably natural rendition and well-controlled noise. Colors are generally pleasing, though a bit on the conservative side. Exposures are on point, and dynamic range is good too. People shots look great as well, with natural skin rendition and well-tuned exposure. Again though, a bit more color saturation wouldn't hurt. 2x digital zoom from the main cam will get you solid results too, though they're not as sharp as the regular photos. And people shots at 2x are worth mentioning because the phone defaults to this in portrait mode. You get a better perspective at the cost of a bit of definition. Samsung's night mode processing doesn't tend to kick in automatically in the dark. The default photos come out with very good detail, reliable white balance, and mostly good dynamic range. The photos are a bit grainy though, and shadows are dark. Night mode smooths out that grain, so images look cleaner, but it also dials up the sharpening, adding a somewhat artificial look. There's no dramatic effect on dynamic range. The ultrawide camera does a decent job during the day. The photos come out sharp enough for this sort of camera, but since there's no autofocus, you won't get sharp results with close-up subjects, like you would on the Z Fold 7's ultrawide. Still, the field of view is quite wide, dynamic range is good, and the colors are well matched to the main camera's output. The ultrawide's low-light shots have good-looking colors and decent dynamic range, but there's noise and not much detail in the shadows. Night mode cleans up the noise once again and makes things look a little better. The Galaxy Z Flip 7 can record video in up to 4K resolution at 60 FPS with all of its cameras. The video quality is decent, but nothing spectacular. The main camera's clips are pretty unremarkable in terms of sharpness. The ultrawide's clips also aren't bad. They have good dynamic range and likable colors. The electronic video stabilization on the Z Flip 7 is alright, but not quite great. Pans are smooth, but there are some faint tremors left over when walking. And in the dark, the main camera's footage is actually quite noisy. The colors and exposure are good though. So there you have it, the Galaxy Z Flip 7. We appreciate the larger displays here, and it's impressive that the phone is even thinner than last year's model, despite having a larger battery. Not much else has changed though. We wish that Samsung had made the cover screen more compatible with apps, and increased the charging speed here. Still, in the end, while this might not be worth an upgrade from the Z Flip 6, the Z Flip 7 is a refined and elegant flagship flip phone that's worth considering. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're looking for alternatives, you can check out our reviews of the Galaxy Z Flip 6 and the Moto Razr 60 Ultra. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you next time.